station of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at the University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Duck Insider on a Friday, wrapping up what has been a crazy week, an electric week in Oregon athletics. It's just getting started. On the show today, we will talk a lot about postseason play, both for volleyball and for football, but that's not the only thing going on this weekend. It's certainly not the only thing that we'll touch on here on Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here, wrapping up your week. Last night at Matthew Knight Arena, awesome atmosphere for Oregon volleyball as they were able to defeat High Point in the round of 64, move on to the round of 32, which will be played tonight at MKA against TCU. 6 o'clock, first serve between Oregon and TCU, where this is going to be a competitive matchup. If you look at the seeding and where teams were seeded, Oregon going up against the number one overall seed on their side of the bracket in Pitt, which means that Oregon probably was the last team to receive a host spot, which means that the 5 seed that Oregon plays, in all actuality, could have been the first team that missed a host seed. TCU is a very good volleyball squad. Oregon's going to need your help tonight at Matthew Knight Arena to support, to move on to the Sweet 16 and get off onto the road in postseason play. Gonna need your help, gonna need your support. I hope to see everybody at Matthew Knight Arena tonight. Not the only thing that's going on at MKA this weekend, though, because the Big Ten Conference home openers for both men's and women's basketball going to be at Matthew Knight Arena this weekend. Tomorrow, women's basketball hosts 6th-ranked USC. Some really talented players on that USC squad. 1 o'clock at Matthew Knight Arena on Saturday. It will be on Big Ten Network. Don't worry, it should not interfere with the Big Ten Championship for football, which is played at 5 o'clock Pacific time. That'll be aired on CBS. So 8 o'clock local in Indianapolis, but 5 o'clock Pacific. Big Ten Championship versus Penn State, which is a perfect amount of time for you to be at Matthew Knight Arena, support the women for that matchup against USC. You're going to be able to get home, get to a local sports bar, get your local game viewing pleasure experience, and be able to sit down with plenty of time to watch the Ducks and maybe even tune in to our pregame show on the Oregon Sports Network, which starts at 3 o'clock Pacific time for that game against Penn State in the Big Ten Championship. Also, men's basketball at Matthew Knight Arena this weekend on Sunday against UCLA. It always is a spirited matchup when Oregon plays against the Bruins and UCLA. That is 3 o'clock on Sunday at Matthew Knight Arena. Everyone needs to be there. Matthew Knight Arena, just put up a picket fence in your seat and say, this one is reserved for me. I will be there. And we'll have 10,000 of them all the way around the stadium. That's my plan. That's my vision for what's going to go down this weekend. Also, track, they start their indoor season there in Massachusetts at the Sharon Collier Danville season opener as they get rocking and rolling and running and underway in indoor season coming up this winter. Some other logistical things to touch on before we get to Big Ten Championship preview. Dylan Gabriel, he has earned himself a spot as a finalist for the Manning Award, going to the best quarterback in the country. There are a few awards that go to the best quarterbacks in the country. This is one of them. This one also includes postseason play. Dylan Gabriel hoping he can have a few more opportunities to get that award and put a good claim for that award as Oregon looks to move further and further into the postseason. What we have coming up on the show today, Jerry, Jorgy, Joey, they were just in studio. They just hit the buses, just left for the airport to go to the Big Ten Championship. They'll preview this matchup. We'll also hear from the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones, talking about the Penn State side of this matchup, as well as Matt Ulmer, as well as a few volleyball players from last night after the match sweep win against High Point to advance to this round of 32. And if we're lucky, we might even hear some football players as well. A lot to get to on the program today. Try to get to all of it. First, it's going to be Jerry, Jorgy, Joey, Big Ten championships. You come to Oregon to play for championships. This is one of them. They previewed the matchup just about an hour ago. Let's hear the conversation. Jerry, Jorgy, Joey, breaking it down.
It is Big Ten Championship Eve. Joey Mack, Jerry Allen, Mike Jorgensen. So we're talking before getting on the airplane this morning. We thought, hey, we got to do our regular Friday game preview before hopping on the airplane. Ducks, Penn State. This is exciting, guys. I mean, this is where you wanted to be at the beginning of the year, and the Ducks are there.
Yeah, I mean, going into the Big Ten from the Pac-12, it was like, wow, we're leaving the Pac-12, but the Big Ten's tradition-rich. They get the big stadiums. Gosh, what's this first year going to be like? Going to be some tough games. And then look where we are now, and it's like it's almost like a dream come true, Jorgy. It's like everything you could have wanted in the move to the Big Ten.
We knew this team had the opportunity to begin the season. We knew they had the opportunity to make a run, at the league championship and maybe play in this game. But the way it started the first 2 or 3 games, like, okay, we're going to be able to get there. Right. And then the momentum got better and better and better as the season went on, as with all seasons that you play in a new league, let alone the competition that you play. There's going to be 1 or 2 of those nail biters. We fought them. We fought through. Yep. Just win was the mentality. But, who'd have thought, guys?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought it would be this? And then a rematch of a team that we haven't seen forever.
Right.
Which is 2 teams that have not played yet head-to-head in this league. So that's kind of cool.
I was talking to Jerry about this earlier this week. So Penn State is the first, if you want to call them this, the legacy Big Ten team to play every one of the Pac-12 teams now with the matchup against Oregon. And it's been since the Rose Bowl that the Ducks have played Penn State. I mean, that's what, for me, like just looking at the history and the record books, it gets kind of fun. And I wanted to ask you guys, what do you remember about that Rose Bowl?
I remember almost the entire thing. I mean, we thought Oregon had arrived and it would never get better than this. We made it to the Rose Bowl. This is the peak. And then, of course, we found out later years not, but Danny O'Neill, MVP of the Rose Bowl. He just went off. Not a big guy, 5'11", maybe 6 feet tall. Josh Wilcox catching the ball, touchdown. Kirsten McLemore. And Jorgy, there were the linebackers, Ashton Rule.
Rich Rule.
Yeah. They got caught. They drove down.
Green.
They drove down. Their car stopped. Went out on them somewhere in Bakersfield, and they had to hitch a ride to get down to Pasadena to make the game.
It's just,
wow.
I mean, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Some great players on those teams. And,
man.
it was one of those ones where you get punched in the mouth on the very first play of the game. It's like, oh, no, this is an undefeated Penn State team that didn't feel like they should be playing a 2 or 3 loss. I can't remember if it was a 3-loss Oregon team in that Rose Bowl. But it was Nebraska and Penn State vying for that number 1 position. And how is Penn State ever going to be number 1 if they're playing lowly Oregon? And that first play of the game, it was like, oh, geez, this is going to – and all of a sudden Oregon claws their way right back into it. Touchdown pass to Kristen McLemore. Yep. I thought it was a 1-point game to begin the second half, early in the second half. And then that ensuing kickoff that Penn State returned past midfield that got them into the end zone, and then they were able to finish it off. But it was so neat to play in that game. It's just one of those things you dreamed of all your life. Is Oregon ever going to make it to the Rose Bowl? And obviously we've been to a few since then, but that one was pretty special, and great players on both sides of the ball. It was a really good matchup, and I think a lot better game than people remember sometimes.
Steve Jones actually said that, talking with our colleague from Penn State. He actually said that. You'll have that on Duck Insider today. So keys to this game now. This matchup, I mean, we can go round and round on all of the regular keys to the game. I think running the ball is important. I think winning in the trenches is important. Yeah, those are your keys to the game, Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ditto. Yeah. Okay. No, but I'm just going to say one thing. 2 really good teams. The team that beats themselves will lose this game. Oregon play Oregon football, limit turnovers, mistakes, penalties. Don't beat yourself, and Penn State will not beat you. Jorgy, that's as simple as it is for me.
Yeah, these two teams are that closely aligned when it comes to statistics. I mean, right down to the T. It's just amazing when you take a look at it, how close they are. For me, it's a matter of stop the Penn State running game, because if you make them one-dimensional, I think from a pass standpoint, even though Tyler Warren's a tremendous player at that tight end position, if you can stop the run and then second of all protect Dylan Gabriel, Abdul Carter, tremendous rush man for Penn State. As many sacks as Uyunglele has, more tackles for loss, very active, very disruptive. So you protect your quarterback. And again, run the ball. I'll say that all day long. You got to be able to run the ball. But for me, you stop Nick Singleton and that rushing attack for Penn State, and you protect Dylan Gabriel. I just don't think Penn State has seen the quickness of the type of receivers as a total group until they see Oregon tomorrow.
I think in any championship game, too, like in all of these big games when you just have these great teams that play against each other, sometimes to Jerry's point about beating yourself, I think it's force a turnover, right? It's how do you handle a turnover? How do you handle sudden change? I talk to Dusty about that all the time. Like, to me, if the Ducks can force a turnover or two in this game, that's a big deal.
No, I think, it's a difference maker in the game. I think that's when I said don't beat yourself. If you can force Penn State to maybe turn the ball over or get a pick, that's them beating themselves, not taking care of the ball. Whichever side takes care of the ball the best. There's something about this game that reminds me of the Rose Bowl, and that is the coaching staff. I'm going to say this. I thought Rich Brooks and his staff in 94, 95 Rose Bowl coached those guys up to that level to be able to play in the Rose Bowl. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The talent on that team, those are great guys, great players, but not the 4 and 5 stars we're seeing now. This Oregon team, when they started the year, were okay, but they weren't together. They got coached up through the year to be the team they are now. I think both of the coaching staffs in 94 and this year should get a whole lot more credit than they have.
Yeah, really good point, Jerry. I mean, it is. This team, how far they've come, we knew the talent was there. I think everybody knew the talent was there, but how do you mold that talent together? How do you bring your culture into play so everybody is buying off on playing together instead of playing me ball? And not that they did those first 2 or 3 games. Frankly, Idaho played a heck of a game. Boise State played a heck of a game, and we found out real quickly that they're pretty good teams. Yeah. Both those guys, in particular with Boise State playing in that championship game tonight of their own. But the coaching staffs have done such a great job, Jerry, and I think offensively, defensively, the coordinators, the staff, the players, and then the guys that they've grown that we didn't even know about from a name standpoint at the beginning of the season now have become key players. It's neat to see, and they're all going to have to come to bear tomorrow night.
Going to be a big deal. A lot of different things that matter over the course of a football game. But at the end of the day, it's going to be fun in Indiana.
Can't wait.
Mike Jorgensen, Jerry Allen, Joey Mack. We don't have any picks to make because the Ducks are in the Big Ten championship.
Great.
Jorgy.
Okay, let's not talk about picks. No picks. All right.
No picks.
No other
to be
Moving
made.
Moving on.
Great.
That was
I
fun.
know what he's doing.
That was fun.
He's just setting up the.
It was a lot of fun this year.
Was it?
You know what? All right. Okay. All right.
Are we done yet?
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Picks of the week.
What did you win by? How many?
A lot.
5 or 4?
I ended up winning by 3.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Actually.
So
I finished in third, but I did beat the coin.
You did beat the coin.
Okay.
You did beat the coin. The combined pick percentage though from us was really good. We combined picked about 77%.
Okay.
On the year.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good.
Pretty good.
That's good.
The next year, next year though, one of us has got to go for the century mark. I finished with 97 correct picks. It'd be cool to see one of us get to 100.
Well, we can do that with the size of the conference, the number of games.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
We could have this year picked the conference championships games that are going on this week.
Well, we'll do our bonus bowl pick'em as we always do.
We'll do that.
So you ended up at 80%? What'd you end up?
Just under 80%.
Okay. That's decent.
Yeah,
that's decent.
Yeah, I was, good year of picks. Seven Feathers Casino bringing us our picks every week. Thanks to their support for letting us have some fun. All right, guys, let's get on an airplane.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, just a quick word. Dan Lanning and his staff and recruiting.
Oh, geez.
Second to none.
Yep.
Second to none. Just say that.
Well, and hey,
Congrats.
How many times have I said, we've all said this, it's not always the best teams, right? It's the healthiest and the deepest teams that win at the end of the year.
Yeah.
and you see these stacked recruiting classes, that's when it really starts to pay off.
Kudos
You're seeing
to
it now.
Training class, training group, the nutrition. This is a program that is just flat on top.
That's right.
All right, let's get on the plane.
They're on a plane now, flying their way to Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship coming up tomorrow. By the way, closing up picks for the year. Want to give some credit to Caden Kesselring running the show, directing. He had 98 picks correct, and us in production picked 3 less games than the main crew, we'll call it, up here. We're not competing against them, obviously. Have our own competition. Caden won our competition. Congratulations, buddy. Really effective year from Caden. Would have been the 3rd highest pick percentage in the history of picks if we were picking against Jerry, Jorgy, Joey. But unfortunately, we were not. But the people do need to know. What the people also need to know about is the Penn State perspective. The voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones. He talked with Joey earlier in the week. We're getting the Penn State side of things in the Big Ten Championship preview when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back here on Duck Insider inside the Country Financial Studio, we're talking Big Ten Championship coming up 5 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow on CBS, 3 o'clock pregame on the Oregon Sports Network. Time zones change across the country, but if you're here in Eugene, it'll be 5 Pacific kickoff for the Big Ten Championship against Penn State. Talking Penn State, Joey Mack was able to catch up with the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones, earlier in the week, talking about the keys to this matchup from the Nittany Lions side. Let's get to that conversation.
All right, we have to begin with our tradition as the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones, joins us virtually. It's great to see that smile virtually, Steve. He's got the Penn State back. Look at this. The Penn State background is ready to roll. I mean, that's just good placement in this world that we live in with everything on Zoom these days. Thanks for taking the time, sir. How are you?
Joey Mack, how are you? It's great to be with you, and we just painted that an hour ago.
I dig it. I love that. Okay, so we have a tradition, Steve. Every time somebody comes on the show for the first time, we ask you to tell your 2-minute life story, okay? 2-minute life story. Now, competitive, we time it. We have a leaderboard over here in the studio off camera, so I'm going to time you. You ready for your 2-minute life story?
2-minute life story, okay?
All right, on your mark, get set, go.
All right, grew up in a town called Enfield, Connecticut, which is right on the Massachusetts border, about 6 miles south of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
My Little League teammate was Peter King, who was a great sports writer and was NBC Sports for years and Sports Illustrated. Went to high school together, the whole thing. Both got out of there. I went to Penn State, and then I got here to Penn State, and I started on the Basketball Network in 1981 and on the Football Network in 1983. So I was fortunate, became the play-by-play voice of football and basketball. Wife, 5 children, all married, all working, 8 grandchildren, and that's pretty much the thumbnail of what you have of what my life is.
46 seconds. That's an efficient broadcaster. You know, that's the play-by-play art, right? Efficiency and straight to the point. That was good. That was good.
Just trying to fit in here.
Yeah, but we've had a couple. So let's see. The best one ever is still 1:59.56. And then we had one that was just over at 2:01.42. Those are the best in recent memory. So thank you for indulging us. Our fans will all appreciate it. You have been through a lot of Penn State football. So far, this season, a pretty darn good one. One of the best you've seen, and I know that book is still not finished yet.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I was part of the broadcast team in '86 when they won the national championship. And of course the '94 team that played Oregon in the Rose Bowl. So I've seen some great teams here along the way. This team has been remarkably consistent from day one. They're really good across the board, and just every week go out and take care of their business step by step by step. They're like Oregon. They haven't skipped a step this season. There's not one step that Oregon has skipped to get here. In other words, take somebody for granted, get concerned about it. Penn State hasn't taken anybody for granted. Oregon hasn't taken anybody for granted. And you'll see that the really outstanding teams are the ones that understand that each week is important. That's what this team has been like. And they're a better team. They're a different team today because of injuries than they were when they started with West Virginia. But they're also a better team today because of what they've gone through.
Yeah, to that injury point, I mean, how much has that impacted this season? Just catch Duck fans up if you could.
Well, KJ Winston's probably one of the top 3 or 4 safeties in the entire Big Ten. They lost him after the first quarter of the second game, so they had to make a big adjustment in what they were doing with him being out. That was a big one. They've lost along the way Anthony Donko, their right tackle. That means Nolan Rucci is going to have to step up and play in that spot. But Rucci played a lot during this season, so that's not as big a concern. But Donko's going to be a pro down the line, but he can't play the rest of the year. Alonzo Ford, who's done a lot for them at that defensive tackle spot. So they're a little thin there with 3 in a rotation now instead of that 4. So they're a little bit different football team than when they started the season, with Winston being the biggest loss because they were freelancing Jalen Reed when Winston was out there, and Reed adapted perfectly to that. But Joey, without Winston there, they had to make a couple of changes in the defensive backfield. Now, they've gone through it for 10 games,
right? So
they're used to playing the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's amazing. You see the teams. I've said this so much, Steve, that it's not always the best teams at the end of the year. Sometimes it's the healthiest teams and maybe the deepest teams that win at the end of the year. Everybody looks a little bit different. I have to back up for a moment, though. You mentioned the '94 season. I wanted to ask you about this because, as you can imagine, it's come up around here once or twice that game kind of means a lot to both of these programs. I mean, what do you remember about the '94 season? What do you remember about that game the last time that Oregon and Penn State faced off?
Well, in that season in '94, Penn State pretty much blew everybody out. I mean, they led USC 35-0 at halftime. They led Iowa 35-0 at halftime. They beat a 14th ranked Ohio State 63-14. I mean, they were crushing teams. They get to this game, and the night before, Nebraska had beaten Miami, came from behind late in the Orange Bowl to win, and NBC declared they're the national champion, and Penn State sitting there undefeated. Number one, I remember Danny O'Neill played a great game for Oregon that day. A great game. He threw for over 400 yards. I thought he was spectacular. And I was impressed by the offensive talent that Rich Brooks had on that team. So many guys in that team ended up in the NFL. Kajana Carter scored on an 83-yard run on the first play from scrimmage for Penn State. Oregon had punted. And they got into the 17. He took off and ran ran for one of 3 touchdowns that day. And it was almost like a microcosm of the season, that kind of big playability. And then Penn State had a really unexpected defensive hero in the game, Chuck Penzenik. You know how many interceptions Chuck Penzenik had before the Rose Bowl? None. You know how many he had that day against Danny? 2. I thought Oregon was an excellent team that day. I thought they played their guts out. I thought they gave Penn State everything they can handle. Penn State finally won it 38-20, but they had to work to win that game.
Yeah, so the point is that Steve remembers a lot about that game. Yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. It's been awesome for me to go down memory lane a little bit with like Jerry Allen, Mike Jorgensen, who were there calling that game as well. And so it's fun to be able to, now for me, the younger guy on the broadcast crew, to relive some of these memories.
That's Joey Mack talking with Steve Jones, the voice of the Nittany Lions, and there's still more to go in that conversation. That was the pretense for this matchup. Now we're getting into the meat of what's going to be on the football field on Saturday when we return. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Just heard part one of the conversation between Joey Mack and Steve Jones previewing this matchup, Oregon versus Penn State, coming up tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Now we're getting to part two, X's and O's, breaking it down. Here's part two of that conversation.
Steve Jones, voice of Penn State, joining us. James Franklin, what's it been like working with him? And in terms of as a head coach, there are some connections between James Franklin and a Joe Lorig, for example. You worked with Coach Lorig. What's it been like working with Coach Franklin? What's the connection between him and Coach Lorig?
Well, James has been incredible to work with. I've been so fortunate in my career, Joey, because I got to work for 32 years with Joe Paterno. All right, then I got a couple of years with Bill O'Brien, and Billy was great. James has been tremendous. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how well I'm treated here, how much access he gives me to what's going on around here. He's got a great mind. I mean, I've learned a lot from him, just like I learned a lot from Joe. And as for Joe Lorig is one of the really great guys, man. When he was here, I really got along great with Joe, and I was thrilled that he was out there. He's got a great special teams mind. He's somebody that puts people in the right spots. And Joe's special, and I know Dan's lucky to have him.
Yeah, the preseason expectation then for this program, always compete, want to win championships, right? Well, so far, they're in a position to do that. Are Nittany Lion fans happy, excited? What's the vibe from Nittany Lion fans heading into this game?
It's interesting. Considering on Friday nobody really thought about this.
Right.
I mean, I'll give you a good one. I'm talking to my wife. I haven't had 2 consecutive days off since the middle of July.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I said, hey, look, it turns out Friday I have nothing on the 6th, and I got the entire weekend off because Penn State's playing basketball Thursday night. I know this airs on Thursday against Purdue, and then they've got Rutgers next Tuesday. I had the weekend off. I said, Jesus, great, let's do something. I said, okay. Right. So then the game plays out. Michigan beats Ohio State. Penn State wins, and I came home. I said, there's been a change of plans. Now, the fan reaction. I was interested in the fan reaction. Man, are they into this game? I didn't know if they would be, right? The whole thing here was to make the playoff, make the playoff, make the playoff. But then they got into this game, and they are thrilled about being in this game. Now, I know Oregon expected to be in this game. I'm talking back to when the duck was going down the river. Okay, they expected to be in the game. Okay, right? The duck didn't just show up on the river just to say, hey, we're here. I think they said, hey, I'm still going to be here in December. Well, it's still going to be there in December. Okay, and so they expected to be here. Penn State expected to get into the playoff. Right? This was the gravy game. Well, it turns out that it's happened, and the fans, they're flocking to Indianapolis. They can't wait to go, because that's one thing about this game. You know where you're playing this game right now. You have no idea about where, what, why with the 12 team yet. We won't find out till Sunday. So, yeah, the fans, I've been kind of like, wow, they really want this game, and so they're going to be there.
What's the expectation? I mean, you know this game, this atmosphere in Indianapolis better than we do, right? As the new kids on the block, what's it going to be like in Indianapolis? What should we expect?
Well, it's first of all split crowd, which is always great. It's a lot of fun, and the Dome, you're going to love Lucas Oil Stadium. Lucas Oil Stadium's a great place to have the game. Now, part of me has always said, hey, once in a while, last I checked, Lambeau Field is in the footprint. I thought that'd be kind of a neat place to go, but it's indoors. I was kidding around with our sideline reporter on Saturday because it was 24 degrees here and the wind chill was 9. And I said, hey, Brian Tripp's, his name was outstanding. I said, Brian, I have good news. The next game's indoors. But it's a great place. Sound will reverberate all over the place. It's a beautiful facility. You'll enjoy being in there very much.
Steve, I got to tell you, inside the broadcast on our end, I spent a decade on the sidelines. Now doing pregame, running the broadcast for Jerry in the booth, and I swear to everyone, I did not make that decision because of conference realignment. Okay, that did not factor into the decision, but Dusty Hara, who's on the sideline for us now, is wearing the heavy coat more often this year, certainly, and moving forward than he has been. Do you like the indoors, Steve? Do you like that?
Tell Dusty golf shirt will be good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Indoor, no, I like elements.
Really?
And I'll tell everybody straight out. When USC and UCLA came in, I was thrilled. I was one of those like, this is great, and I send to somebody right away. They've got to get Oregon and Washington in. They've got to. And they said, well, why is that? I said, 2 of the top 10 brands in all sports in college football, 2 of the top 10. I said, and they're great places to go to. I've never been to Autzen Stadium. Okay. So when I come out for basketball next year, guess what? The guy walking around campus with the blue coat on doing the tour is going to be me. I want to see Prefontaine. I want to see Autzen. I want to see the whole thing. I want to, all the way through, because I just think having Oregon, USC, UCLA, Washington in the conference, I know it brings with it travel hassles. I know it brings with it different types of schedules, but it's major league, all right? All these major league brands are all in one grouping right now, and I think it's become very special.
Well, Steve, when you come out then, you'll get the full tour from us on the broadcast side, all right?
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
You just let me know. All right, now to this team, The offensive identity of this program, how the offense has performed. Give us the look, if you could, from the Penn State perspective.
Well, you have a special quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. Penn State has a special quarterback in Drew Aller. He has really progressed along the way. Drew Aller now looks like a guy that's about to make the 26th start of his career.
Wow.
It's such a difference between the end of last season, let's get 8, 9, 10 starts in, to what you see today. The polish, the ability to see the field, make decisions. The touchdown pass to Nicholas Singleton in the Coliseum that tied the game up. It sent it to overtime. Joey was the fourth read. 4. Right? That tells you, of course, offensive line protection, and then, of course, his ability to see. The play to Warren to put the game away against Minnesota, it was supposed to go to Singleton. Minnesota, it's a good defensive team, slid over and covered it. He turned, poised, found Warren, ended the game. That's where he is right now. Right? Now, the game's indoors. If the game were outdoors and you were worried about wind, not with his arm. He has a great arm. And he's just a much more polished product now. Singleton and Allen are the 1-2 punch in the backfield. You're going to have, James is tremendous. Singleton has become an excellent receiver out of the backfield, just like James is for Oregon. You've got a tight end, the two best tight ends in the conference are going to be on this field, Ferguson and Tyler Warren. Warren does everything. He's the number one guy in everybody's scouting report, and he keeps making plays. Catches, runs with the ball, can throw the ball. He's a former quarterback in high school. Saturday, he threw a pass to Singleton for a first down. He ran for 2 first downs. He caught, 7 or 8 passes in the game. He had another big game. And the offensive line has performed well. They've done a good job of protecting Aller to this point. And I'd say Harrison Wallace is the number one wideout, and Omari Evans is the guy that can take the top off.
Tyler Warren, you mentioned him. I mean, it jumps off the page, and I'm just going to put my fan hat on for a second. Okay, Steve? That's what you do in a video game. You move the guy into the backfield who's the tight end. And I mean, how much fun can you have as a broadcaster, but also just how much fun does he enable because of the talent that he is?
Well, it's interesting, Joey, because Aller's a quarterback. Once in a while, they'll bring in Bo Perbula, the backup, and he's out there with Drew. And then sometimes it's Tyler. I'm the only broadcaster in the country that has to identify his team's quarterback when they come to the line.
That's right.
So I'm diligent with that. I asked Andy Koltanicki about when did you think you could start to do these things with him? And look, he's a fifth-year senior. So, yeah, they go through the winter program. But in the spring, he did some things. But as a fifth-year senior, not a lot. They were recruiting another player. And they said, boy, I love this guy. Man, his basketball tape is outstanding. And one of the other coaches said, it's nothing. You got to see Warren's basketball tape. And Andy said, Warren's basketball tape? He says, you guys have it? He goes, yeah. Andy Koltanicki saw Warren's basketball tape and went, oh, my goodness. What can we do with this? And that's when he started coming up with all this stuff. And how smart do you have to be if you're Tyler Warren that I lined you at wide receiver, I know the play. Slot, I know the play. On the line of scrimmage, I know the play. At the wing, I know the play. At fullback, I know the play. At the quarterback spot, I know the play, right? You have to be smart that when they call it and you're lining up in all these different spots, you know exactly what to do.
Yeah. Now, all right, you mentioned Terrence Ferguson and the connection. So we have a long-running question here, Steve. Who would be the starting 5 for basketball of the Oregon football team, right? Well, what do you know? Terrence Ferguson always comes up. It's almost like tight ends are good at basketball.
Well, first of all, let's talk size, okay? Tyler's 6'6". What's Terrence, 6'5"?
6'5".
Right around there. Okay, so you automatically put yourself, with body build, because you're both going to be in the 250s, right? In terms of being the power forward spot. Right? So you're going to be there anyway. And as tight ends, the footwork of playing basketball pays off in the footwork you need to play football. And again, mismatches mean everything. And a guy like Warren's going to be a mismatch in the basketball court, as will Ferguson. But they're both also, okay, let's face it, they're both too quick for linebackers and they're too big for safeties. And they're also outstanding athletes. It makes such a difference. Now, I don't know. I mean, has Ferguson snapped the ball in the game?
He hasn't snapped it, but I think he could if he had to. But if Tyler Warren snapped it too.
He snapped it and caught a touchdown pass on that play.
See, that's just fun. Like just remove the who you want to win for a second. Like this stuff is just this is what makes it fun.
Yeah, well, that's college football, though, Joe. You and I know that. The pros would never do that.
No.
They don't do that stuff. It's fun to see all that. It's fun to see a team run the option. It's fun to see a team run the air raid. It's fun to see people do extra formations. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
That's what makes college football more entertaining to me than the pros.
I'm with you. Defense, I got to ask you, defensively as well, what's the Nittany Lion report?
Four best defensive ends in the country are going to be in the same field on the same night. Okay, the two Oregon kids are just phenomenal. But Abdul Carter's a special talent. You're talking about 20 tackles for losses this year, 11 sacks in the season. Dennis Sutton was banged up in the middle of the year. Now he's back to 100%. He's playing at an incredibly high level. All four of them will be playing in the National Football League. Kobe King, the middle linebacker, right? The brains of the operation, has really improved. He's an every down linebacker now. He's a guy you probably had to pull out earlier in his career on third down. No more. He plays the pass well. My broadcast partner, Jack Ham, knows a couple of things about that. Right? And so he'll tell you that. Jalen Reed is a special talent at safety. He's had a great year for them. And watch out for number 28, Zane Durant, at defensive tackle, whom I feel has had the best year of his career, and maybe the best year I've seen from a defensive tackle at Penn State in maybe 7 or 8 years.
All right, final question. We got to sum it up. Keys to the game. Penn State gets a win if what happens?
Okay, well, always one of the basics will be giveaway takeaway. We know that. You got to keep Penn State needs to have some semblance of control on Dylan Gabriel. Stop him? Ridiculous thought. Some semblance of control? Yeah, which means you have to do a good job on Tez Johnson. You got to do a good job on Holden. And the team that runs the ball, James is outstanding. Singleton and Allen are outstanding. So you got to control that. And Oregon needs to find a way to make sure that Tyler Warren isn't a big factor in the game. And that's going to be important. And then which of those rush ends has the big night, wins their matchup? You have 4 great ones in this game. Which one wins that matchup?
Penn State Steve Jones talking with us. Steve, I'm looking forward to seeing you in person. If you need anything, just say the word. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for giving Duck fans the perspective on Penn State.
Joey, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Can't wait to see everybody on Saturday night.
Big thanks to Steve Jones giving us the Penn State perspective for the Big Ten title game coming up tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock pregame on the Oregon Sports Network. It'll overlap. The pregame will, at least with the back end of women's basketball coming up tomorrow at Matthew Knight Arena. But tonight at Matthew Knight Arena, round of 32 volleyball postseason. We're talking postseason when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My my grandson, I was going to have to be here for him. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe.
Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say
Shout at Matthew Knight Arena last night was great. I know it's an NCAA event. There's a little bit more blue around than there normally is, but Shout hit just the same. Maybe postseason Shout just a little bit better. It was awesome. Awesome at MK last night. Oregon got the sweep victory over High Point to advance to the round of 32. Post-match reactions from Coach Ulmer, Mackenzie Morris, Kristen Klein, and their thoughts on Oregon advancing past High Point. Here they are.
Congratulations to High Point on a great season. I thought they were a really tough team, really disciplined. I thought Coach Ryan does a really nice job with them. I thought they fought really hard. Definitely gave us a good challenge in the first round, and we definitely had to respond multiple times to them. And so congratulations to them. I thought it was not our best performance, but we did a lot of really nice things, and I'm happy for this group to get their first playoff win.
What did you just think the team did do well tonight?
I think we did everything fine. That's just fine's not going to get you very far. So, but it got us to this point. So, hopefully we can be better, sharper, tomorrow. But some of that was what they were doing. They were serving aggressive. They, after they got blocked, I think all five times in the first set, and then they weren't going to get blocked anymore. So they just started tipping a bunch or just going high hand. So it was hard to find a rhythm. It was good strategy by them. I thought it got them back in the game. But for us, I thought we just got undisciplined when that was happening. I thought we just got immature with choices and just started bailing them out a little bit. But, hopefully we can respond better tomorrow.
As a young player, just what was it like performing on this stage, and how do you improve on this and kind of raise the bar in the next 24 hours?
Yeah. It's great. It's different. It's really different than normal play. Your nerves are going and just everything's crazy, but I definitely think we can do a lot of things better tomorrow, and just focusing on those things and our intent and just figuring out what those things are that we can get better at and just applying them tomorrow.
Can you speak of the connection with Oni tonight? She's obviously pretty explosive, pretty efficient.
Yeah, she's great. She's so good that it's just so easy to set her as long as the ball is high. She jumps so high, she's hitting everything. She's aggressive. When she's on, she's doing great.
Mackenzie, for you as a veteran, obviously playing this sport a long time, when you have a match like this, do you feel like it's good to kind of get this type of a match obviously out of the way now before obviously the competition continues to ramp up as you guys obviously hope to move further in this tournament?
I would say I kind of take it match by match. I don't have a lot of experience in postseason play, so honestly, this is super exciting and kind of new to me. I feel like being a veteran, yeah, but we're here now, so it's super exciting, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. But I just want to bring a calm energy every single game, pretty much having a faceless opponent, not caring about who's on the other side of the net, just playing Oregon volleyball, and that'll get us where we want to be.
Coach, in regards to Oni, obviously, 12 kills on 16 attempts. She's been efficient all season long. You've talked about it a couple times this season, trying to get her more and more attempts. She had the fourth most, obviously, attack attempts on the team. How do you get her more involved, especially considering how efficient and good she has been this season?
Yeah, I think it starts with these two, right? So just controlling the ball well enough, and Chris being willing to set her, I think is important. But really, when Oni is going in attack mode, when she's deciding that no one's going to stop her, totally different game. So, when her arm is swinging, firing, and she's driving hard on her approach, she has those eye-popping kills that you just don't see from anybody else. So I expect we're going to see that Oni the rest of the way. And so for us, can we control the ball well enough? Can Chris continue to find her and feed her the ball, take advantage of some of those matchups? But, yeah, she did a great job tonight.
Go ahead.
When you're playing the second match of the day and you play tomorrow and the first one ended in 3. Is it on your mind at all that sure would be nice to end ours in 3 so we don't have any more volleyball on our legs than they do tomorrow?
I'm always a fan of winning in 3. So
there's no stupid questions.
There are no stupid questions at all. I don't think that anything else comes into my mind. For me, why I'm disappointed tonight is because I thought the third set we just gave them so many points, and again, that to me we lacked focus in the third set. I thought we got cautious. So I want to win because I want us to play well. And I thought, again, we did a lot of nice things the first 2 sets, and then we really backed off. And that just, we've had the tendency to do that this year, and that's when some of those reverse sweeps have happened, or we've lost in 5. And so you sure hope that we learn enough lessons along the way to not let it happen at this point, but we just haven't yet. And so, that's something that I think we need to continue to pay attention to, right? That you come out and you're always, you got that killer instinct to want to put teams down when you should. So again, hopefully it's just one more opportunity for the group to learn, and that tomorrow will be different.
Just early thoughts on facing TCU tomorrow, just whatever you've seen for them on film. I know obviously you guys will have a short turnaround with them, but what do you think of them? How do you get the win tomorrow?
Yeah, really dynamic, exciting team. They really pump the ball to their pins. Melanie Parra is one of the best outsides in the country. She just does so many things well for them, and it's going to be a tough matchup, but it's that time of year. That's what they're supposed to be, and I sure think our schedule's prepared us, for tough matchups. So, again, it's going to come down to our toughness. It's going to come down to, our discipline, and if we can execute it well enough. But it should be an exciting match, and I hope the fans come out for it.
Mackenzie, the press conference we had earlier this week, it was clear you guys love each other. You play with a lot of joy. Is it hard? Coach talks about playing the killer instinct. Can 2 things be true at the same time? Can you also be killers and also be joyful volleyball players who love each other?
Yeah, I feel like that's been like a topic of conversation for this team for a little bit now. Facing some reverse sweeps, obviously, them not falling our way. We want to get to the bottom of what the issue is, and I truly do think we have so much care for each other off the court, on the court, that we just want the best for each other. So I feel like there's a level of accountability that we need to start demanding from each other to see those results.
Chris, as a setter, just when you are going through some of those adjustments in game, especially with your hitters, I know Mimi probably, has used to being first in kills and maybe had a little bit of an off night tonight. What are your conversations like on the court, off the court, during timeouts with those players to kind of get back on track?
Yeah, I just try to get to the bottom of it quick. Working out of it is a great thing, but obviously, you can't bleed too many points with someone, and, everyone on my team is a great option. Everyone's so good that I can't, I don't really rely on her. She's great, she's wonderful, whatever, but, I have other people around me to carry us also. But just letting her work through it, but, with minimal, mess-ups.
And you haven't looked a lot at TCU, but how important is that going to be, being able to make those adjustments in game and fast against an opponent that, the Horned Frogs could have also been very easily hosting first 2 rounds too.
Mm-hmm. A quick turnaround, it's going to be crazy, but just again, the quick adjustments, everything, just being on my toes with everything. I think I've worked through that all season, and I'm ready and I'm prepared for it.
Postseason's here. Volleyball, football, it's that time. Continuing to break it down. Right after this, timeout on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never, ever become a minivan mom. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back here on Duck Insider, we're talking championships, postseason, volleyball tonight, football tomorrow. We've got just enough time for some thoughts from Oregon safety Kobe Savage. He talked to the media earlier in the week. His thoughts going into tomorrow's game.
What do you see from Drew Aller in this Penn State offense?
It's a very high-tempo offense. It reminds me a lot. I mean, obviously, their offensive coordinator came from Kansas, and I got to witness it and play against him and do a little study on him. So it's a very different, with formation variation and using different guys such as 44, and just getting the right guys the ball and just trying to spread out the defense and get them miscommunicated.
Just how good is 44?
Oh, he's really good. As you see, he punted, snapped the ball, caught the ball, threw the ball, even does a little bit of option for him. So, I mean, obviously he's our best player, and we just got to be alert for him.
What's the challenge of bringing him down in the open field because he is such a freaking ball carrier?
Yeah, just tackle low. Just form tackling will help us. Sideline tackle, just practicing that, whether it's on a dummy or anything like that. I mean, he's a bigger guy, so definitely going low.
How similar is what they are running to what he was running at Kansas? Obviously different players, but
yeah, no, it's very similar. But like you said, with different players, I remember they had a guy number 47 at KU, their tight end. They used him a lot as they used number 44 for them. So yeah, very similar, but having two quarterbacks out there sometimes and just different misdirections.
Postseason has arrived. Does that require a different kind of mentality, attitude from you guys, or is it more about just consistency, same mindset?
Yeah, definitely much more consistency. I mean, we're going to play a lot of great teams in the playoffs, and then, like Coach Landon said, this is going to be one-week seasons, just trying to be 1-0 every week.
Kobe Savage breaking down the matchup against Penn State tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific time on CBS. Everybody will be watching that game, and everybody will be at Nittany Lions Arena when you're not. Tonight, 6 o'clock against TCU, round of 32, Oregon volleyball trying to advance. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock against number 6th ranked USC in women's basketball. Be there before the Big Ten champion. Make it a Duck doubleheader tomorrow. And we need you for men's basketball on Sunday. Nittany Lions Arena, 3 o'clock against UCLA. It's always a big one, always means a little bit more. We'll break it down for you on Monday. Seems like a lot of wins coming up. See you then. Go Ducks.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I looked through